Hey guys, welcome back to the Girlfriends and Goals podcast. My name is Samaria and I'm joined by my best friend and co-host.
Miosha.
And we're reviewing Married at First Sight, season 18, episode 2. So if you are interested in the show, just make sure that you subscribe to our channel, give this video a like, and meet us in the comments to let us hear your thoughts about these couples. Okay, so we're just gonna jump right in with Thomas and Camille because they were barely on our screens. Like they showed them after their wedding and they had a conversation, but that was it. We didn't see them after that. I
Yeah, in
mean,
that conversation, we just learned that they both have twins.
in their families.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in their families. And he shares a little bit about his family structure, and then that's it. So,
Yeah. Okay. Nothing really there. Next. I guess it'll get juicy in a few weeks, but I'm glad that they're putting all the weddings up front so that, yeah, we don't have a whole bunch of weeks of nonsense before it actually gets started. Um, okay.
yeah.
So next, we can do Michelle, 38, and David. We'll see more of them next episode because their full wedding wasn't shown. But I don't know. I think Michelle is going to make this season very entertaining.
Really? Why?
I just think her energy is very, like, it's a lot. She kind of says whatever comes to her mind. And so I think she'll be either fun to watch or like Lindsay. Maybe not as bad as Lindsay, but like she'll either be very fun to watch and we'll enjoy her, or she'll cause scenes.
So, okay, I didn't gather that much from her just yet. So that's interesting that's your perspective so far. She says that this is a batshit crazy experience. She's nervous. We see her family and that she comes from a background of strong women. The way that they described her, though, was that I guess she started off kind of shy in a shell, and she's really come into her own as she's gotten older. She's talked about her independence again and how she knows that she'll have to adjust things. What I wrote is that they seem to be coming from, I don't want to say very different backgrounds, but she's been a single woman living on her own, very independent, and he's been living with his family within the confines of like a tight, very tight, close knit family unit. You can tell he's very close with his parents. And I'm not saying that she's not, it just seems as though she's been out on her own, this I don't want to say entire time, but most of her adulthood, it sounds like she's been out on her own. So kind of polar opposite adult
Yeah.
experiences.
And moving on
So,
to David, like, so he says that he stays with his parents, one, because he enjoys being around his family, but also because he doesn't want to spend money on rent. He'd rather just buy something. And I'm like, okay, but you're 35. You say you have two careers, not just two jobs, but two careers. He emphasized that. So why not just buy something? He didn't say that he was waiting to be married to buy something. He just kind of left it at that. So I wonder if they are a good pair. Probably not. And I think maybe parts of why Michelle might be entertaining would be because of who she's paired up with.
yeah, this whole basement thing, I feel like every season we always have at least one person who is renting a basement or in their parents' basement, a friend, family friend's basement. There's always a basement involved in this season, David. um, it's when he was saying like, "Oh, I know people could judge me for it or it could be seen as a bad thing."
Yeah.
I don't think that most people have a blanketed response of if you live with your parents, it's such a bad thing as an adult. I think if you have the opportunity to stack your money, get your own place, great. I think it's one, his age. Two, have you ever left the nest in any type of capacity? Did you go off to college or spend any time living with a roommate and then you came back home? I think for him, it's not the fact that he lives with his parents, it's the fact that there's maybe no proof of maybe financial responsibility. And I think sometimes when people live with their parents or and there's no responsibility, or even if you have a roommate where you've never really had to fully support a household, could be an apartment on your own, I think it may not be as apparent. And so for me, that's why it's a red flag. Like if I were her, I would want to see a lot more about your financial situation,
Hmm.
given that you live with your parents. I want to see some proof of fiscal responsibility. So,
Okay, fair. I think, and I don't know if it's just with him, but it does seem like there might be too much attachment there, both with his parents and him, because they don't want him to leave either. But it seems like he has a younger brother who has left the nest, has gotten married, and is the one giving him advice. And so I was like, what is this dynamic? I don't fully understand.
be, because I think it's a thing where, like, if David had left first, it would have, it's like because David was there, it may have been easier for them to let the younger one go because they have one. So it's like once all of your kids are adults,
Hmm.
yes, they're different ages, but they just may want to hold on to some of those experiences, knowing that once they move out, it just really won't be the same. But that is interesting how the little brother was definitely giving him advice and kind of schooling him on what's ahead. Yeah, I was also thinking too, and maybe this is a reach with Michelle because she is independent. She comes from a family of strong women, as her aunt, I think it was her aunt said, like, oh, I hope he's ready for this family dynamic. But I was wondering, maybe it won't be a turnoff for her that he isn't as independent and will let
Hmm.
her take the lead. So it could go, I was thinking like maybe it could go the polar opposite. Maybe she likes being in charge. And he said he's looking for a woman who's strong, independent, and in charge. That's what he claims. Now,
Yeah, but
we'll see.
you could want a woman who's strong, independent, and in charge, but that doesn't mean you want her telling you what to do, where to be, and when to be there, you know? So I am interested to
Hmm.
see how I think physically she's what he likes, he's what she likes, but it'll be interesting to see how they mesh. I thought David's his brother's advice was very realistic and very nice. It also made me wonder what things he's seen in David that made him want to make the specific statements that he did, because he said something like it won't be easy. Don't be reactive. So I wonder if David is a reactive person.
Hmm.
He said, don't just listen, try to comprehend, try to see where she's coming from. So it just made me wonder. I mean, we don't have much to go off of, but it just made me wonder if he was speaking to specific things that he's seen in his brother over the years.
It gave, I know you. I know you. So I'm
The
going to plant
brother
this little
seems so
seed right
mature
here.
and cautious about this, supportive, but still
Hmm.
he didn't seem the most optimistic, maybe. So, yeah.
Um, One other thing I want to call out, unless you had anything else to say on them, was, um, and this is a minor thing, and I understood what the mom was trying to say, but I hope she wasn't literal with it. The mom is like, "Oh well, the door is always open. You can always come back home." And while I think it's beautiful and honorable for parents to always be there to love and support their children, as
Hmm.
far as come back home if you really, really need to, I
Right.
also feel like it may end up being a crutch or could be seen as an easy out, like, oh, it doesn't work over here, so I could just I have somewhere easily to go back to,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
versus you start your life with your partner. If you have to separate from them, which may be necessary, and go restart your own full independent life, that's a
Yeah.
much bigger task. And I think for in a lot of real world couples, you think about those things of, okay, when I separate from this person, these are all the things I'll have to do to rebuild my life
Yeah.
versus I could just go back to my mom's basement.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't have anything else on them, so we can move on to Allan and Madison, who had their wedding this episode as well.
mhm.
Okay.
Yes, we get their reveal. Yeah.
What did you think? I thought it was a very quirky first meeting.
Yeah, so she walks out. He is like, God dang. He is so pleased, enamored with her beauty, which I love that for her. I mean, who wouldn't want to have a big reaction when someone sees you for the first
Yeah.
time? She is smiling. He immediately goes in for a hug and is like, "Wow, I hit the jackpot." She gives him the banana from the gift, so I think that was seen as a sign of like, oh, I appreciate and understand your humor. And then
Yes.
I loved when he reached for her hands to pull her in closer.
Mm.
I don't know. I appreciated that gesture. It's always kind of awkward. I get you don't want to invade someone's space that you just met, but I liked how he reached for her and was like, hey, like come here. It's okay to come closer. So I enjoyed their ceremony.
I did too. And apparently they both like Germany. So she went on she
Hmm.
went to Oktoberfest there and got expelled, which she explained on the after party. I didn't watch the entire thing, but she was saying it was more like a few minutes suspension and she was able to come back. But he said he loves Germany. So yeah, he seemed really impressed with her. I don't know if she's as impressed with him, but I think she's open to it. Like she's laughing at all of his jokes. She seems interested in him. So it's not like he's way into her and you can tell she's put off by him.
Oh yeah. She was a bit more reserved, but initially when they were in the ceremony, she didn't give him any compliments on his physical looks, but then when they had their time just with them two, she was like, "Oh, he does look really good in his suit. He has
Mm-hmm.
beautiful eyes." She did also kiss him. I think he asked at the
He did.
ceremony, "Hey, is it okay if I kiss you?" And she was like, "Absolutely." So I agree where I don't know if he's fully her type physically, but I can
Mhm.
see her trying to remain open and
Yes.
not closed off to where it's like, I don't want to be fake and make it even more awkward, but I also don't want to be closed off to where it throws him off as well.
Yes. And I think his willingness to give her compliments, his showing his interest in her and all of that could also warm her up. Like, oh wow, he's really interested in me. Like, who doesn't like someone who's just completely there for them? I did like that
Mhm.
he's the one who continues to give her compliments. I hope he doesn't stop. But he's really into not just her looks, but he complimented her like personality and sense of humor, I think. Her career. He's like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, where have you
Her
been? This has been
education.
great. Like he's
Mhm.
really like I think for him, he's found his person.
Oh yeah, he is so impressed by her, and he
Hmm.
says he's been looking for love for a long time, but the dating scene online hasn't worked out for him. And I don't know. I know in the first episode I said that he was giving me Brennan
Brennan.
vibes with just how chill he is, but I was pleasantly surprised with his energy in the ceremony, where it
Mm.
didn't feel like too much. It felt like just enough where he's excited, he's interested.
Yeah.
It's like it's okay that you're more chill, but show your person you're interested in being with
In
them.
her. Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you're the
So,
guy. uh I don't have too much more about them. That's about it. I think I have most of my
mm-mm.
notes on
Oh.
Ikechi and Mem and Carla and Juan.
Yep. Same here.
Okay. All right. So let's start with Ikechi and Mem. Mem
Mm-hmm.
seems like a ball of energy. She seems very fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ikechi also seems fun, but maybe a little more reserved than she is.
I agree. His energy isn't as much with her. I will say when he was with his friends in the first episode, I got more energy from him.
Mhm.
I don't know if they were in a bar or wherever they were, but I can see him having both sides
Yeah.
where he can be very chill, but also hyped up too if he's in maybe the right moment or the right setting.
Yeah.
So,
And I do just want to correct, he is not Nigerian. So I think like last episode, I was saying he's a Nigerian man in Houston. I think what we said still stands. Like there are a lot of black women in Houston and he's a black man, but he's not Nigerian. He just has a Nigerian name because his family liked that. He did clarify that this episode.
is his last name Nigerian?
I don't know. He didn't say it. He just said that it starts
Okay,
with an
yeah.
O. Yeah. So
Okay. And I heard Igbo. I couldn't really follow.
his name is
So
Igbo.
when
He
I saw
said
his
his
mom.
Yeah, nobody
Okay.
in his family is though.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I didn't hear an accent with his mom. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So anyway, so
So,
his friends were asking him about what he thought marriage was, and it seems like he's surrounded by all married men, which I think could be a positive thing going into this process. You know, you have people who are committed to their spouses, and maybe they'll be giving him advice from their perspective as
mhm.
spouses, as opposed to someone who's like, oh yeah, I'm on Hinge and Tinder all the time swiping, so just move on to the next. So I did like that. I think that could possibly ground him if his friends are good husbands. But yeah, he said that he sees it as a compromise and wanting to create a friendship.
Yeah, he said he's looking for someone who's inspiring. And I love that the friend told him, you get in, what you put in is a lot of what you get out of it. And I
Yeah.
agree. You have to
Yeah.
water it. So, but yeah.
So, and then as far as families go, her father has passed away. Her mom decided not to come, which I wasn't surprised by.
I wasn't surprised, but it bothered me. I,
Really?
I understand, yeah, not wanting to be on camera. And I think there's a way around that as far as like them not showing you fully. But I don't know. Her dad passing, her sister's like, yeah, I went to go visit mom, but she's not going to come. And watching her break down, knowing that her father isn't there, but her mom is alive to be there. Yeah, it made me very sad for her. And I also didn't see any other like auntie or not an uncle, like no other elder parental maybe figure be there to support her. So yeah, I really felt for her in that moment.
I think because of this process, maybe I didn't have the emotional response that you had. I think this is a lot for most people, but especially for a traditional African parent. I think this would probably be frowned upon. Like the fact that her sister said, "Oh, you have our mom's support." That even surprised me because getting married in this way where it's not your family who's found your spouse, but because she said her mom is open to like arranged marriages, but this isn't your family that found your spouse. These are people who you don't know from anywhere, who are a part of a television program, who, television programs are trying to get ratings and trying to get views. So what are their intentions? So I could kind of see it. I didn't feel as sad as it sounds like you felt. But yeah, those are
Yeah,
my thoughts. You
it's
guys let us know
and
how
and I
you
get
felt.
all that. I guess for me, it's life is so fleeting, and when because people don't make decisions the way that we want them to make them, and how and the this and the that. I don't know. I'm just like, show up and support your kids and move on. Like life is not promised tomorrow. And by chance, if this does work out, whether it does or doesn't, that's still your child. And so even with Carla, which we're not there yet, obviously her parents, another situation where they're also choosing not to be there. So I don't know. I agree this is a absolutely crazy process, and I could get with the families not wanting cameras in their house and the whole production of it. I also am like, man, it would be nice to have your parents by your side on this day.
Well,
So, yep.
some of them do go on and have the weddings that they would actually want to have outside of it. So, like how you're feeling, I would say if this worked out, maybe I would feel that way. But because we see that there's like a very slim chance of this working out, maybe that's why I don't feel that way because I'm like, okay, chances are this isn't going to work anyway. And Amem is gonna find her actual person, have the Igbo wedding of her dreams, and her mom will be at that one. Or, if it does work out with Ikechi, and they decide to have their own separate wedding where they can invite everybody and do it the way they would want to do it. So maybe because
Yeah.
this show has me so jaded and I know that the chances are ridiculously slim that it succeeds, I don't feel that emotional attachment to.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm like, whether something works out or not, I guess I could see myself being like, well, I'm here. This could be a mess, but I'm here. It's like, well, and it's not even just with this. I guess I also see it as with other things your kids may do that may not work out or I may don't support. I'm like, well,
Hmm.
I'm here. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so anyways.
Yeah. I mean, they know their culture, so. But I thought they were
Mhm.
very polite with each other at the altar. They weren't giving as much energy as like some of the other couples were at the altar, but they were very polite. I noticed they weren't looking directly at each other most of the time. She was making her
So
faces.
you say polite energy. Hold up. Hold up. To me, Emim was giving energy. He seemed way more reserved. You didn't get energy from her or excitement. I
Um,
got like, ooh, she's so excited. Not as bubbly as she was with her girlfriends, but
yeah.
I got she was like kind of here and he was like a little bit lower in
I
terms of
think
energy. Maybe he was
throughout the ceremony, yes. But when she first came up, I think they did like a handshake and they were just like keeping their distance,
yeah.
looking at the pastor. And then as the ceremony progressed, then you saw her being a whole lot more expressive. And then
Hmm.
he was less energetic until maybe it came to his vows. And then, he perked up a little bit. You could see his personality shine through because he loves them. He loves him some words.
That
You're
he
not impressed.
does.
You're like,
Ooh,
whatever.
ooh,
What?
we skipped a part that I wanted to touch on. He wrote her a poem right
Yeah.
beforehand,
Bars.
and I guess, um, and she got him a gift,
Hmm.
and I'm like, why didn't he get her a gift?
You know, people who, because I could be like this sometimes, but people who are like words of affirmation heavy, they probably feel like that is the gift. Like, oh, I'm giving you the best of me. So I'm not surprised. Like, he feels like this is the gift. The intention behind the words that I'm, putting in this thing. So I that doesn't surprise me. He seems very words of affirmation heavy.
And I agree. But I feel like, especially in this situation when you don't know the person, and two, um, I think that's where you have to, I guess, maybe get to know their love language and
Hmm.
what what it would really mean to them. But at the same time, I think in a process like this, if I were in this process and I don't know this person, I would still get a gift and I would write something just in case your
Hmm.
love language, number one, is receiving gifts. So I don't know. That's where I'm just like, we've watched enough of these to know. Get this woman a gift, a little something.
Are you taking it as he's not as invested because he didn't give a gift, or oh, he just threw some words
I
together?
think
Like,
it.
how are you? Hmm.
I think the poem. I don't know if it was for theatrics and that he put it together right then with his boys, or I don't know if that was for show or for a scene, or was that what actually happened.
Hmm.
But if you've already tried out for the show, you didn't think to write this the night before, the week before, like you've been gearing up for this process. I don't know. I would have liked for him to either have done it beforehand or getting her a little bit of something, given that he doesn't know her. I don't
Hmm.
know.
I guess so.
I'm not
I'm
holding it
not.
against
Hmm.
I'm not holding it against him per se at this point.
Yeah.
I just was like, okay, you know this rodeo. You signed up for the process. You've watched this show. You don't know your bride. You could have written her a bomb letter as well as a charm or something or any little something. Like she didn't know him, but she wrote him a letter and got him something. I think it's a thing where
Well,
you exchange gifts to where it may show a bit about you.
but
Obviously,
it
you may be
does.
shooting in the dark.
Like she,
I
okay,
don't
I
know.
will say she got him a store-bought card, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I really just think this is a love language personality thing. So I didn't think that much
Mm,
into it. Like if I were in this situation and someone gave me a charm and a letter, I kid you not, I'd hold on to the charm because I'm like sentimental, but the letter
hmm.
would mean a lot to me. Like I will keep that letter and hold it and read the words over and over again. So I think that's maybe why I felt like this was his best showing. He knows this is the area I'm
Mm,
gifted in. This is what I enjoy doing. I'm sharing a part of myself with her, but I'm also stating what my intentions are.
okay. Well,
But we'll see.
yeah, we'll see. I will say so. As far as the ceremony,
Mm-hmm.
it was odd for me how they really weren't facing each other. They were kind of looking at the
Looking at the
officiant.
mm-hmm.
That was odd. So I don't know what that was about. But the vows were sweet. She gets emotional. Um, what did you think about their kiss?
Okay. Because what kind of kiss was that? I don't know. It's a little weird, like the way she turned her head. Like, okay, that's different.
Like she went in with a lot of energy, and he was just kind of like,
It was a
okay,
lot.
like we're here. It was a lot. So
I don't know. I liked them better when I thought the kiss was weird, but I liked them much better when they sat down. So when they were at the altar and you mentioned his energy was a little bit lower, I was wondering, okay, does he find her attractive? Can he match her silly energy? So those are questions that I'll have in the back of my mind as the season progresses. But I did like them when they sat down. I think they vibed a little bit better. I think she's just a tad bit more than him energy wise, and it's dependent on him whether this works or it fizzles out because he can't handle it or match it.
yeah, I think his energy was, I don't want to say low. I don't want to compare it because she was high energy. Like she
Yeah.
jumps right in with all the questions, and I'm not saying it's a
Yes.
bad thing. So you're right. It'll be up to him if he's okay with that. They both said that they wanted to be with a black person. Um, Up until this point, hasn't complimented her or said
Oh.
that she's beautiful or
Hmm.
anything about her looks. And in fact, the first thing he says, and I didn't write it word for word, and I wish I would have, but he just says like, "Oh, I want to get to know her beyond the physical." Why you wouldn't say she's pretty, she's gorgeous? I haven't heard him say
Yeah.
anything about her.
Her being beautiful, yeah. Her looking nice.
And at this point, I wrote, I don't think he's attracted to her.
And you know what's crazy? Because she could play those games too. Technically, they're the same height, but it seems like she's come in not judging, not, looking for things to pick apart, just really open. And so I hope that after trying out in Houston and Chicago and finally being matched, that he will remain open.
I didn't get any type of romantic. I got very polite, cordial energy from him this entire first meeting. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get romance. I didn't see a pull there between them. He said he moved from Houston that year.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't realize it had been that soon since he
I don't know
left
when they
Houston.
filmed this. Yeah, but he had just moved,
Yeah.
and she,
But yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's attracted to her. And by the way, I'm not saying that she's not attractive.
yeah, she's cute.
I the vibe I got from him is that he doesn't seem enthusiastic or interested about her.
Mm-hmm. I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
It
Which
gave,
is
well, I'm here.
which is interesting because I think he has some things that could be off-putting about himself. Like, I appreciate that he told her, I tried out in Houston, but they couldn't find me a match. And I think she accepted that very well. I think if it were me, I would be like, okay, he tried out in Houston. They couldn't find him a match. He couldn't find his own person naturally. And now he's trying again for the show. Like, is he trying to be on TV? I would have those questions in my head if I were her, but she kind of took it like a champ and said, oh, it's because your match was here in Chicago. So I think she has a good spirit, and he better not crush it.
I'm
He's
not going to
gonna.
speak on. Yeah, I don't, and I don't want to say that, but I just don't want to see Emim being the positive reinforcement and light and trying to bring up the situation, of like, oh, but you just have that person that tries to make the glass half full in every situation, and that's the vibe I get from her, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
It's just I don't want to see her trying to pull him along in terms of excitement of this marriage and process. It bothered me. Like I don't know if she ever complimented how great he looked, but the way she was like, "Oh, my husband and I'm married now," like she showed her excitement in other ways, and
Yeah.
and so I don't want to make it seem like it's all on him.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be a thing where she's not attracted either, but she did seem excited nonetheless. And even if he didn't comment on how beautiful she was or how pretty she was, I still would have wanted to get a bit more energy from him. And I know he has a bit of it in him because I saw it when he was with his boys.
Yeah, but you did mention that earlier in that day he wasn't as energetic even with his boys. So maybe it's the nerves of the day. It could be. And I hate to be the one like, oh, let's give him the benefit of the doubt because I picked up on the same things that you picked up on. I think when it came to both of them, they were both just excited to be married. Like, I think that's a thing that I'll be watching for with them because I think they've each waited so long. Like, he came up to the camera and was like, oh, I have my ring on. I'm married now. I think they're each just so excited to be married.
How you more
I don't know
excited
how
for
to
the
say
ring
it.
than complimenting your bride? Come on.
Yeah, but her too.
Yeah.
I think she's happy to say she has a husband, but we'll see. We'll see. I do
Yeah.
think it's more on him at this point than on her for sure.
Okay.
All right, Juan and Carla.
Carla.
Oh gosh. Okay. I know I had said Carla was going to annoy me all season because of how she talked, and she probably still will. But I walked away from this episode really liking her.
Do
Yes.
say.
I think she's 10 toes down for the experiment, and that's what you'd like to see on this show. Not someone who's just gonna back out. She's like, I already feel a connection and it's soothing. Like, she's so I don't know, I'm trying to find the word to describe her. Not like hippie, or it's just she's so
Open?
open and so I don't know how to describe it.
I will say her level of enthusiasm and openness about whoever this is, I feel like she has the right mindset going into this process. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people will say like, "Oh, she's crazy for already expressing love for a partner," but I don't necessarily think so. In that, obviously, love is an action word. I think she's old enough to understand that.
Yeah,
I think
39.
what she meant was more so, I'm willing to put in the work under the assumption that the other person is willing to put in the work. So
Yeah,
her heart is already
in
all
the
in
right
it.
place.
Not
Yeah.
necessarily, like, obviously she doesn't know them, so she can't mean it in the literal sense. But it seems like her heart and mind is open enough to get there. And I feel like with so many people who do this show, they're not even there. They're like, oh, I don't do ball heads and I don't do this. And why are you here?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not you're saying all this as you're about to walk down the aisle. What? Of course you're going to probably say no on decision day.
Yeah, and I think it was one thing that was cool about them is everything about this experiment is unknown, but they're both willing to embrace it. And I love that for both of them. Now, I think I believe it more from her than him, just because every time we see one of his family or friends, they're like, yeah, you're going to have to adjust a lot, or you're too strict, or you're too this. And so I think I believe it more in her than him.
And I'm glad you brought up believe, because in this confessional scene where he's talking about how he's always embraced the unknown and about immigrating to the US, a very touching story, he gets really choked up. And there's a lot of wiping, but no tears. Yes. I don't know. That moment was giving me a bit of telenovela. Like, I don't know. Telemundo. I don't know. Like, I want to believe that, like, when David choked up talking to his parents, that felt very genuine, where he gave his dad a hug,
Of course. He's in love with
and
them.
right, he's legit like crying. But Juan, he's like, I don't know. It gave a bit of Telemundo. And I'm not throwing in the towel on Juan. I'm just being silly. But that confessional scene, I don't know. It didn't give genuine for me.
Yeah. I don't have much hope for Juan, just because it's not his fault, but he's 36 and it seems like he's stuck in a lot of his ways. And I appreciate his family holding him accountable to that and saying that every chance they get. Because he says, yeah, I'll have to give a little bit. I don't think it's just not that easy to do at 36 when you're stuck in your ways. I think if this is to work out, Carla would be adjusting a lot, or she would be the one to make adjustments, or perhaps she's strict on the things that he's strict on and they're a really good match. But I am very concerned about this part of him.
When he was like, "Oh, I know I'm gonna have to give a little." No, sometimes you will have to give a lot, and your partner gives none, or vice versa. Like, what do you think marriage is?
Yeah.
It's never
Yeah.
going to be equal. But yeah, so we want to get to their
The
wedding.
altar. Yeah, so they were really flirtatious. Carla was like, "Are you in love?" Girl, he just met you 2.5 seconds ago. Relax. But she's very cute.
Yeah,
And
he's
so
like,
I accepted that.
I hope we could grow.
Right, I'm willing to open up to love you and stuff. Like, yeah. Okay. I don't know. I didn't say much about their wedding itself. I wrote a little bit more about when they left the altar.
So in the vows, really quick for her, her family says she doesn't like being told no. Girl, you can't convince some people of certain things. Some things you will have to just let go. So I hope that doesn't mean that she's unnecessarily pushy. But overall, I think her both parents said nice things about them.
Yeah.
Um, he asked for a kiss. She says, of course. And yeah, I think the kiss was fine. Yeah.
Yeah. You wanted to talk about her family not being there. I thought, is her family in the same location as she is?
Well, it sounded like they went somewhere to
Yeah.
do something for somebody last episode, but I don't know when this is filmed. But I think the dad was adamant on not coming, so the mom was like, "I'm gonna stick beside him." That's what it
I'm a
sounded
stick
like from the
beside him.
letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair.
But she had her sisters there, so she had, some family
Family.
support in that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So when they sat down, this is where I really enjoyed Carla. I think she's a great conversationalist. I loved when she said, "Hey, I don't really do small talk. I want to get deep." And that's my style. Like, I don't like the small talk all the time. I want to know why you feel this way. What in your soul is making you react to certain things in a way. But I thought she really kept the conversation going. And he was mostly responding. Like, she's not shy. And yeah, she did a good job of getting to know him and keeping the conversation going.
Yeah, I do wonder. He said that, oh, I think you'll be able to help me maybe get in tuned with, other aspects of myself, that aren't so surface level. So he does seem to be open to it, but
Hmm.
like with most people, they always say that at the beginning, and
Hmm.
time will tell if she's too deep for him, and maybe he
Yeah.
does enjoy more lighter conversations more frequently. In that conversation, they reveal obviously that she's Mexican, he's Colombian, and that neither one of them have dated a Latino or Latina before, which I
Yeah.
thought was interesting because he talked a lot about culture and how important it was, and he said how in the past when he's dated people, how they haven't had this appreciation
Hmm.
for his culture and where he comes from. He also referenced that he lived in North Carolina for, I guess, as a child, and there weren't many Latinas there. But you've been in Chicago I want to know how long you've been in Chicago. Latinas are everywhere. I don't.
Right. I was like, it must be two North Carolinas because I feel like there's a good population.
Hmm.
Anyways, maybe he wasn't looking for them. And
Well,
yeah.
that was my next thought in you dating these previous people. I don't know. Like, were you actively looking for that? I don't know. I understand dating outside of your culture, your race, but then I think your expectations of them having appreciation and interest in your culture, like it's only probably going to go but so far. So, and then the other piece too is that yes, you're both Latina and Latino, but she's
Hmm.
Mexican and you're Colombian. So that's very different too. So that'll
Yeah.
be interesting. She also said she's never dated a Latino. Um,
Yeah. We shall see. That's all I have on this episode.
yeah.
Anything else?
I don't know. Juan and Carla, the way his family keeps calling out how he is,
I don't think they stand a
I,
chance because of him.
yeah, I feel like she's so open to making this work. And I feel like he may be very much set in his ways and maybe just looking for an accessory to, and not really
Ooh.
looking to partner with someone
Mm,
it may be requiring much more than he's willing to give.
that's a
So,
good assessment of the situation,
yeah.
I think.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, y'all. So that's it for Married at First Sight. We'll be back for Love is Blind next week, the reunion
Mhm.
episode, which, boy, I cannot wait. Not, I
I
can't wait for
know.
the reunion, but I can't wait for what comes out after the reunion. Like, somebody got to have an interview with Ashley because we need to know what has happened since the reunion dropped. Like, since
I
the reunion was
know.
filmed. So, anyway, we'll be back for that next week. And then, of course, Married at First Sight. And yeah, see
Mhm.
y'all on the next one. Bye.
Bye.